You're listening to KSG Podcast. This is a short, crisp, concise, exam-oriented, edited editorial for civil service aspirants. In this podcast, we are going to talk about India assuming presidency of two global bodies. Source for the content is Ariba's article for the Indian Express. December of 2022 began with India assuming the presidency of two global meetings, G20 on the first day of the month and UNSC on the second. New Delhi has said that while its G20 presidency is driven by the vision of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is, the world is one family, its presidency of the United Nations Security Council seeks to prioritize countering terrorism and reformed multilateralism. Both these positions are rotating, that is, they come to all members of the bodies by turn. Now, what are the roles and powers of the UNSC and its president nation? Some of the significant roles of the UNSC broadly include maintaining international peace in accordance with the principles and purposes of the United Nations, and to determine the existence of a threat to the peace or act of aggression and to recommend what action should be taken. The Council President, according to the UNSC handbook, exercises a vast range of powers such as holding meetings of the Security Council, approving provisional agendas, signing records of the meetings, besides other crucial decisions. On the first working day of the presidency, the Council President holds an informal breakfast to discuss the draft program, which is attended by the permanent representatives of all Council members. The program of work, that is POW, which in simpler terms is a calendar of priorities which the president nation would work towards during its tenure, is adopted soon after the breakfast. Now, how is the UNSC president nation elected? The official website of the UNSC highlights that each of its 15 member states assume its presidency for duration of 1 month following the English alphabetical order. India had also been in the presidential position in August 2021. Now, what are India's priorities as the Council President? This month, India's POW includes briefings, consultations, and reports on global developments in Syria, Libya, Middle East, Colombia, South Sudan, and Congo, among others. An open debate on the maintenance of international peace and security through new orientation for reformed multilateralism, and a briefing on threats to international peace and security caused by terrorist acts, which would involve discussions on principles and way forward through a global counterterrorism approach, remain key to the Council. The country's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ruchira Kamboj, will preside over the Council for this month. Now, what is G20 and its objectives? The G20 or Group of 20 functions as an intergovernmental meeting where states participate in discussions on different aspects of the global economy. It was formed during the 1990s when Southeast Asian economies were witnessing a financial crisis. It had a tremendous impact in the year 2008 when it helped reduce global panic caused by a restrained economy and restore economic growth. The meeting includes the European Union and some of the world's largest economies, among other nations: Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, EU, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, UK, and USA comprise the G20. These countries at present account for more than 80% of the world GDP, 75% of global trade, and 60% of the global population, according to a document by MEA India. The main objectives of G20, according to the Council on Foreign Relations, include policy discussion and coordination on economic and financial issues around the globe. However, over the years, the meeting has extended its aims to cover global terrorism, health, and sustainable development. The leadership of G20 rotates annually among nations, where the president nation determines the agenda of the summit held every year. Non-members, namely the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the United Nations, World Trade Organization, among others, participate regularly in the G20 proceedings. The planning is done by the Troika, which comprises the past, present, and the future presidents. This year, Indonesia, India, and Brazil. Now, what is India's agenda as the G20 president? Indonesian President Joko Widodo officially handed over the G20 presidency to India on the 16th of November this year at the summit in Bali. The year-long presidency assumed by India comes at a time when the world is struck with uncertainties about recovery from a pandemic-hit economy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a series of tweets, highlighted the country's commitment towards resolving challenges of climate change, terrorism, and pandemic through international cooperation. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, further on the 1st of December 2022, said that New Delhi will work to depoliticize the global supply of food, fertilizers, and medical products, according to a report. Hailing his position as the voice of the global south, Jaishankar added that the country will take the lead in pushing for collective action on climate change, climate justice, and sustainable development, which are often sidetracked due to more dominant issues. India has also invited guest nations, namely UAE, Bangladesh, Mauritius, Egypt, Nigeria, Oman, Singapore, the Netherlands, and Spain. Over 2023, India will organize more than 200 meetings across 50 cities, which would involve officials, the civil society, culminating in a marquee meeting in New Delhi in September next year. 30 heads of states and government from the G20 nations and those invited are expected to participate in the summit. That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. To join KSG India courses and to crack the IAS exam, visit ksgindia.com. You can also get a PDF of this podcast on ksgindia.com. Thanks for listening and to subscribe to our channel.